Mariners lose 4-3. They lose the second game of the three-game series to the Chicago White Sox. Struggled saying that yesterday for some reason. In 11 innings, they fall to 34-35 on the season, and they have now split the two games against the Chicago White Sox. Let's talk about how it happened for those who missed it. J.P. Crawford, very first pitch of the game, takes Luke Giolito deep to make it 1-0. Ty France scores on what they called a pass ball. I actually thought it was a wild pitch, but whatever. 2-0. Second inning, unfortunately, White Sox get one back with an Eloy Jimenez home run that was absolutely tanked to center field. Fifth inning, Luis Robert singles home Andrew Benintendi, who just scorched the Mariners over these last couple of games to tie the game at 2-2. Bottom of that inning, however, Teoscar Hernandez singles to left to score Julio to make it 3-2. In the ninth inning, something called Andrew Remillard singles to left to score Elvis Andrus to tie the game at 3. Paul Sewald blows the save. And in the 11th, Remillard singles home Andrus again to make it 4-3. Mariners do not score in the 9th, 10th, or 11th. There's some positives here. J.P. Crawford homers and draws a couple of walks. Had a really good plate appearance in the ninth inning, especially. Might have to talk about Crawford a little bit defensively in just a second. But, really nice day at the plate. Julio singles twice, steals a couple of bases. Like to see that. It's worth pointing out he had a really poor at bat in the bottom of the ninth inning. Might talk about that in a little bit. Teoscar Hernandez just continues to scorch in the month of June. Another couple of hits, drives in the big run, draws a walk, a 3-reach game. His numbers just keep getting better. And on the pitching side, Brash was really good. Munoz was great. Gabe Spire was really good. Ty Adcock got a really clutch strikeout. I think the biggest positive, though, is this hat. Isn't this a great hat, folks? All-Star game. You can't see it great because it's a little flashy or a little whatever, but it's got the mountain in the background. I got the blue version, the royal blue, no, the navy blue version of it that I'll show off tomorrow that I really like as well. But I wanted to show this one off first. You can get this hat on Simply Seattle and Simply Seattle. If you use Mollywop 15 as your code, MOLLYWHOP 15, you get 15% off. I am mentioning that for free. I do not get paid for that. But that's pretty cool. Negatives. There's quite a few. Let's start with the fact that Logan Gilbert, he only gives up 2 runs. He wasn't good. He was very fortunate to give up the 2 runs. Didn't miss bats. Gave up 6 hits and 3 walks against a not very good lineup. Really disappointing effort. Very disappointing. And the results could have been a lot worse. So that's, I guess, give him some credit for working around some stuff, I guess. But he's got to be better. He has got to be better. ERA actually goes down to 4.31, which is, I'm sorry, it's your number 2 starter, or he was anyway. I think George Kirby's pretty clearly your number 2 starter now. He's got to be better. This team relies on its starting pitching more than any other contender. And I'm still calling him a contender, I guess. But no, not guess. I'm calling him a contender still. I refuse to give up on the season. Paul Sewald, that's only the second blown save of the year. It's tough to be too mad. And it's worth pointing out, in the 9th inning, it would have been nice if J.P. Crawford could have at least knocked that ball down. His range is just not impressive, folks. I hear the announcers on television just rave about this guy, and I get it from the point of the fact that I think he's an awesome dude. I think he's a really, really, really great guy from everything I've heard, and an awesome leader. And you need leaders. Leadership is important. But he's not a good defensive shortstop, folks. He's not. He's not a good defensive player. He makes another error today. That's 10. Puts him on pace for like 25 or so on the year. It's not good. Errors are not a great way to judge defense, but it's not like he's making all of these flashy plays. Some of the flashy plays he makes is because he doesn't have the range to make the routine. He makes the routine look spectacular, is what I'm trying to say, long story short. Is he the biggest problem for the Seattle Mariners? Absolutely not. But I was thinking as that ball got hit and he makes that dive, it sure would be nice to have a shortstop that could get that play. Maybe I'm maybe I'm a hater. Um Offensively, France was bad. Kelnick was bad. We'll talk about something big with Kelnick in a little bit. Murphy was atrocious. Um, Mike Ford and AJ Pollock both have pinch hits and stink. Jose Caballero goes 1 for 5. It was a bad offensive game. It was a very poor offensive game, especially after the first inning. He scored 1 run after that, and I believe only had 1 hit after the 5th inning. And if that's not true, I don't care. It's something along those lines. Julio does steal a couple of bases and he has the 2 big hits, but he had a very poor at bat in the 9th inning. Got absolutely worked by 3 Aaron Bummer sweepers. And look, you look at Aaron Bummer's ERA and you might think that this guy is a bum, or pun. He's pretty good. Aaron Bummer's much better than those numbers indicate. And he has a good sweeper, but it's just a little too easy to pitch to Julio right now. He's got to do a better job. There's a lot of pressure on him. I'm sorry that there's a lot of pressure on a 22-year-old, but there is. And he's got to do a better job in those situations. However, when you pick up 2 hits and you steal a couple of bases, I'll take it. I'll take a poor at bat. It just happened to be in the 9th inning. And there's a lot of people saying some real dumb stuff about Julio now, about like being unclutch, which all that proves is that fans are absolutely fickle and kind of stupid. Am I not supposed to say that? Am I not supposed to point out that people are kind of dumb? Because they are. Like, that grand slam he hit against Atlanta is one of the biggest hits that I've seen of the last few years. Had tons of big hits last year. Had a huge hit not that long ago for Seattle in the 2023 season, a big old homer. You remember what you want to remember. Like, there's all these jokes about how like the Mariners are like the worst team with the bases loaded, and like if the bases are loaded, you almost feel like the Mariners aren't going to score a run. The Mariners are like 5th in on base percentage. My buddy Jason Churchill just tweeted that stat, and like 4th in average with the bases loaded. It's just like the people who say everybody who leaves Seattle automatically becomes better. I almost went in a long rant last night about how sometimes this fan base, it's not the fan base, it's people. Come on, you have to be better than that. You have to be better than that. Says the guy who is doing a reactionary show every night. I get that. But come on. Turning on Julio is just, I can't imagine how quickly I would want to stop talking to you if you would have anything negative to say about Julio Rodriguez. Has he been great this year? Far from it. Is he a 22-year-old superstar who just won Rookie of the Year and gives you your best chance of hope for being a World Series contender? Yeah. And if you forgot that, you need help. Dumb. Just dumb. I'm going to do my best to be a little more, not a little more. I think I've been perfectly pleasant. I need people to like me too, so this is a tough one. But I'm going to call out dumb stuff I see. And the best way to not see that stuff is just not to log into Twitter. But my job is literally aggregating news from Twitter. So if I have to see it, I'm going to tell you about it. And I see some real dumb stuff. Real dumb stuff. I saw a lot of criticism of the decision for Raleigh to pinch hit for Kelnick, and I kind of get that one a little bit, but I actually like the decision. Now, your argument is going to be that Raleigh has not been good against left-handers this year, And Kelnick's been great against left-handers this year. That's fine. I like Raleigh more in that situation because of a couple of things. One, Kelnick against left-handed relievers, I don't have the stats in front of me. Guarantee you it's significantly worse than the stats against left-handed starters. Now, some of that might be sample size because, you take a look at Cal Raleigh's numbers against left-handers last year, he was great. Something like an 820 OPS. That'll certainly play. Didn't play as much, but I like that. And here's the other reason I liked it is you had a chance with a right-handed batter up there, much more difficult for the catcher to throw out the runner stealing third. And with Julio on second base, I think that's an important thing. When you have a left-hander up, that path is wide open to make that throw. It's a much easier throw for the catcher. With a right-handed batter up, it's more difficult. And it worked. Unfortunately, Raleigh strikes out. Aaron Bummer was really good today. Aaron Bummer was really, really good today. And the Seattle Mariners were not. 13 strikeouts. And again, I think didn't have very many hits after the fifth inning. Anything else I wanted to talk about? Okay, here's this too. Good for Zach Remillard, man. This was a 29-year-old rookie who came up and went 3 for 3, drives in the tying run in the top of the ninth inning, drives in the go-ahead run in the 11th inning, draws a walk, plays down a perfect squeeze or safety bunt or drag bunt, excuse me. Perfect bunt. Uses his wheels. A 29-year-old rookie goes 3 for 3 with a walk and 2 RBI in his first chance. That's awesome. It stinks that it happened against the Seattle Mariners. And they weren't even really bad pitches. Remillard just did a nice job. The pitch from Saucedo was off the plate that he drove in. The pitch that he hit off Sewald, wasn't nearly as good as the pitch Saucedo made, but could have been an easy out ground ball, which we had a shortstop with more range. Man, this is a bummer of a loss because I think you're a much better team than the Chicago White Sox for one thing. You can't win them all. But it does put a lot of pressure on Sunday's game because, at least for me, now you cannot have a successful homestand without a win tomorrow. 4-2 was the bare minimum. Folks, you don't understand how badly the Seattle Mariners to start winning a lot of baseball games. Maybe you do. But if you don't, you got to hurry. You've got to hurry or you got to have a 14-game winning streak. We talk about it too much. I know. But you are now, let's see. Looking at the wild card standings, you are now 4 games back. That's not terrible. But you're hot behind Boston. You're behind Toronto. At least you're ahead of Cleveland. Cleveland looks terrible. So I'm kind of wonder if Shane Bieber might be on the market, by the way. We talked about that a little bit ago. But and Boston, has won a couple in a row. Boston and Seattle are pretty similar, in my personal opinion, in terms of talent. You got to get going. You really could have used a 5-1 homestand, and now you can't. Bummer. No pun intended there with that time anyway. So tomorrow the Mariners have Bryce Miller on the mound, I believe. Can't remember who the White Sox are starting, but we'll find out in just a sec together. They are going to start my good friend, my king of kings. Not really. I do like Luke Giolito as a person, though. Not loading. Who cares? There we go. This is great. This is just unbelievably Lance Lynn. I knew that too. The other thing that's big about this one is I just don't think we can overstate how tough this road trip coming up is. The Yankees, who have played so, but you've got Garrett Cole on the mound for that first game, and then Baltimore, who's been fantastic. And I kind of wonder if 3-3 is good enough there. Kind of wonder. Mariners will reach the halfway point during this series, by the way. No, they won't. I just said something stupid. No. This is this is 16 minutes of nonsense. That's is what this is. But I'm frustrated. That was a frustrating game, and I think a lot of people were frustrated by it. And some people said some silly stuff. I didn't say anything really silly. I just, wasted your time while waiting for websites to load. But man, game they should have won. Chance to go up a game over 500. Chance to end the series 2 games over 500. And now, the best you can do is enter New York as a mediocre baseball team. I mean, you're mediocre either way. A game over 500 or 2 games over 500 doesn't really change it that much. But I sure would have felt better. And I think you probably would have too. Follow me on Twitter at Crawford_MILB. Sports Sometimes podcast, RotoWire Fantasy Baseball podcast. Another live episode tomorrow with my buddy Drew Silva at 11:30 Pacific time. Just search for RotoWire and you can find it. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be fun. Gonna offer some fab suggestions. If you don't know what fab is, you don't play fantasy baseball probably, or you play in a league that doesn't have fab, and good for you. I don't like fab. Can go on a long tangent about that someday. Bummer. But good for you, Zach Remillard. Wish it was against a different team, but it's fun to see stories like that. Just do it against someone else next time.